Introducing myself, I'm Huma. You can't see me anymore because I am wanting my bandwidth to be saved and so that you can hear me more. But I'm going to show myself again, off and on. Um, so, as most of us are aware of the book Seven Habits, but most of us are not aware of the fact that all the application of Seven Habits and where all it can be applied. So we are looking at an angle today which we know a lot about, but not many people know a lot about. And we thought that today's webinar should be focused on an angle of Seven Habits that not many people know about, and it's the angle, the route that we are taking today is the route of social emotional intelligence, specifically related to our workplace, because as we all are knowledge era workers and we need to be more savvy with using our social emotional intelligence. So we're going to talk a bit about that and how Seven Habits really helps us cultivate our social emotional quotient. And of course, this quotient is cultivated through practice more so than the content, but content is important because that's what makes us think that way or makes changes our paradigm. So that's what I'm going to start with today. It is a very short work session, so I'm not going to take a lot of time from you in doing this. Before I go ahead, I would also like you to take a poll, and I'm going to ask Mahi to just open the poll. And I would like our participants to actually tell us that how are you familiar with Franklin Covey? And so there's this a short poll. If you can quickly do this, and I'm going to go ahead. Um, Okay, so I'm really impressed to see that most of you have read this book. That's great to see this. Great. So people who don't know what all access pass is, there are people in our organization who can come and talk to you about it. And but it's a great solution that we have, but I'm not here to talk about it, so I'm going to go ahead. Just a brief view on Franklin Covey. It is a global company, and what we focus on is on specializing the performance of people, of individual effectiveness. And what we are doing is that we are helping organizations achieve results that require change in the human behavior. I know it sounds really lofty and high, but we have seen changes happening. And the areas that we work in are leadership, trust, productivity, execution, sales performance, customer loyalty, and education. So we have a huge wing which is only dealing with education, but this is not part of our scope today. But anybody is interested in education can go ahead and talk to one of our client partners, and they will find out what's happening there. Since we are talking about social emotional, what I was thinking was that maybe we can share something with you on social emotional. We have some results coming back here, so if you can take them away. Okay.
You can just cross it out.
I can cross it. All right. So what we did was before we say that, okay, Seven Habits is is touching for social emotional, and basically the framework of 7 habits is the framework what the social emotional academy also uses. But let's just quickly look how when did people started talking about social intelligence. I was back in 1920s, and the first thing that was coined was by Mr. Edward, and he said that social intelligence is the ability to act wisely in human relations. And I think that is something that is still carried on. You can only act wisely in human relations if you're aware of those human relations. By the 1940s, Mr. David, he was again, he did a lot of research on this, and he said that human intelligence is the global capacity to act purposely, to think rationally, and to deal effectively with one's environment. Again, so they're again talking about environments, and these are the times when we were not the knowledge age workers that we are right now. So by the 1990s, when the knowledge age workers were emerging, at that time there was a co-study done by by Salvi and Meyer, and that study was again, it brought out this, the crux was that the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings and emotions, to discriminate among them, and to use this information to guide one's thinking and actions. So again, so it's becoming more about knowing our environment before talking about our own feelings. So it's it again, if you will go a bit further, Mr. Daniel is saying that self-awareness, self-management, self-awareness, and relationship management. So again, awareness of the self, that's where the crux comes in. And that's what typically what 7 habits is talking about, to be aware of yourself. So there was this huge study, this Mr. Travis, he's a double PhD, and of all the, and this is his famous saying, and he keeps on saying that, and they've studied a number of people, and they say that the 90% top performers are also high in emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is something which is very, very important, specifically for us who are the knowledge era workers, because who are we working with? We are working with people, and whenever anybody is leaving a job, he's not leaving because he doesn't like the job. It's he doesn't get along with people, and that's where the social emotional quotient comes in, not only his but other people's also in an organization. What is the social emotional quotient? So let's see if I can ask my colleague to share a poll on the organization's percentage of social emotional. What do you think, the organizations that you represent? I have a poll question for you. What percentage of your organization is high in social emotional intelligence? And that is something which is very, very important for us, because we are the people who are working with other people more so. And it will become more and more important. You know why? Because as artificial intelligence is kicking in, you have so many jobs being replaced. The only jobs which will not be replaced are the jobs where your social emotional quotient, high social emotional quotient is required. I get a good response around, wow, 50%. We still have time for the poll to go on? Okay. You can see the results. So you can see the results. I think there's a lot we need to work on also in increasing our quotient of social emotional maturity. I think that's something we all need to work on. And that's where 7 habits comes in. Since you've done the poll, I'm just going to close this and tell me something. If I can ask anybody, what would be the impact of improvement beyond your organization if the quotient that we're looking at, 40%, if it increases maybe 20%? Anybody would like to give their point of view that how it is going to impact will it be any difference or it won't? You can open your mics and talk about it if somebody wants to.
Yes, Sajid here. I think it will be definitely improving the organization overall in terms of productivity
Mm-hmm.
and retention point of view. The employee retention, these two areas come top of my mind where these will affect positively.
Very rightly said, Sajid. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. You're absolutely right. Employee retention and productivity. And that's what we are all looking for. We want people to stay. We want good people to stay. I'm going to correct what I'm saying. I want good people to stay. There's some people we really don't want to stay, want them to stay. But yes, majority of the people who we have hired through the right process and who are the right fine and who we have spent and invested in, we would really want them to stay. And of course, productivity is something which is at the top of most of the leaders and the managers. And thank you so much. Yes, it's going to impact both of them. So, and that's why it's very, very important. And you see a lot of courses happening on social emotional. But what we are offering is something which is like a framework which helps us in understanding ourselves first and then understanding others. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll tell you why I am saying 7 habits. If you see here, I've just put this in that 7 habits is CASEL endorsed social emotional process. And right now we have this process actually working in more than 5,000 schools in over 50 countries. And this is like the core of the SEL process, what 7 habits actually talks about. Um, we have done thousands of work sessions and we have delivered them annually. And imagine we have work sessions which have been in localized language, and more than 35 languages we have been doing these sessions all over the world. Well, we have more than 40 million books sold in 50 languages. This is one of the best sellers. And even now, I think this came out first in 1989. And since then, it has been on the bestseller list. So, and usually people ask, oh, this book is like 30 years old now. And is it the same? The applicability is the same. Because there is so much change. That is why this book is very, very important now. There's a lot of flux, there's a lot of change, there's a lot of tension, and that's why self-awareness, knowing yourself and knowing how to react in an environment is something important. And now with what is happening all around us, the corona days, it is even more important now. Well, this is interesting. And and this is quite true also, that prior to Apple and Microsoft, few people could actually harness computers to their daily lives, and people never thought that computers would be part of their daily lives. And in the same way, if I metaphorically, if I talk about that how personal effectiveness has been worked upon, and over hundreds of years there has been wisdom which has been accumulated on personal effectiveness, from Benjamin Franklin to Peter Drucker. But making it simple, not simplistic, but making it simple and putting it together in a way where it is a framework which is not only user friendly, but a framework which has a system to follow, and you can follow the framework, which is important. A lot of time we understand a lot of things, but we fail to implement them because we do not have a framework to follow those things. What Dr. Covey has done is that we have been able to create that framework. We and Jim Collins very rightly actually coined this statement. He said that Covey created a standard operating system, the windows for personal effectiveness, and he made it easy to use. That's very important. That it has become more simple to use, easy to use, and that's where the core or the heart of social emotional intelligence lies. That if you are able to follow a system to be more self-aware and be aware of your environment. Okay, so I have an interesting video before I go ahead to show you, and this video is called Mississippi Power. It's very interesting. I'm going to play it for myself, but what I would like you to do is in the chat we have uh, the link to this video, and I would like you to go and see this video. Just put it in the chat if you are already, if you have already watched the video, just let me know through the chat. Okay, great. I'm happy you've seen this. Any comments while you were watching this, and you were able to link it to the social emotional aspect? I would be happy to see your charts, or if somebody wants to talk about it, you're most welcome to open up your mic and talk about it, and then we can move forward and I can make you understand how seven habits is linked to increasing your social and emotional quotient. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and so I'm going to talk briefly about the maturity continuum. This image that you see over here, this circle, this represents a very researched and a lot of time has been spent. And so one of the biggest researches that Dr. Covey did was the research on the maturity continuum. And seven habits and understanding your social emotional quotient is dependent on this framework. I would not say dependent, but this framework actually represents how you can follow this framework to increase your self awareness and increase your awareness about your environment, which includes other people, and what are those paradigms, those behaviors, those practices that you need to do to be able to not only understand yourself, but be able to be more effective personally by understanding other people also. So this starts with the, if you see at the bottom rung, you see that there's a dependence, and actually the whole idea or the whole concept is that this model is showing you three steps to maturity, starting from the bottom. That starts with the lowest level or the lowest rung of the maturity of dependence, where one is dependent on the other people emotionally, and it goes up to the highest level of maturity, of mental maturity, of understanding the concept of interdependence. So the mastering the first three habits, actually, if you will see this, yeah, so here the whole framework is. So if you would see over here, mastering the first three habits, which is habit one, be proactive, habit two, begin with the end of mind, and habit three, which is putting first things first, it makes you attain your private victory, which means that your self-awareness and mastering yourself. So these three levels are not only going to make you aware of yourself, but also going to give you those mindsets, those practices, those beliefs, those things to do that can help you master yourself. And mastering the first three habit is called, as coined by Dr. Covey, it's called the private victory. And if once you have done that, and then you come to the next three habits which help you achieve your public victory. And public victory is associated by, if you look in the terms of social emotional, it's basically awareness of the environment and management of the environment. You are first aware of the environment, and then how do you manage your environment to be more effective personally. So actually, none of these habits have a sequence. It's one, two, and three, and you need to follow the sequence. So you can't actually attain public victory, or you can't effectively manage the environment if you do not, or if you have not been able to manage yourself, if you haven't been able to control yourself, if you haven't had the ability to do self mastery. So the first three habits come first. It's exactly like when you sit in an aeroplane, and I know not many of us are sitting in the aeroplane right now, but whenever you do, and then there's the safety security protocol, and when they say that oxygen masks are going to come down, so you don't, and they always say first help yourself, first put your mask on yourself, and then help somebody who's sitting right next to you. It's something like that. So you first have to master yourself, you first have to salvage yourself before you start salvaging your relationship. And that's the most important thing to know, that you can't skip that process. Um, so along with this, we have another very important, which is known as the, I'm just going to show this to you. So self-awareness and self-management comes first, and that's where you are getting to know yourself and getting to know how you're going to manage yourself better. And then comes your social awareness and relationship management. And the first three habits are about the self, and the next three habits are about social, environmental awareness and management. Okay, so with this, there is a very important, again, a framework, and we call it the see, do, get model. And the see, do, get model is again a very, very researched model. And this model is actually, we call it that it is the secret sauce. It is not only the secret sauce for 7 habits, but it is also on how we at FranklinCovey help other organizations, because that's what our mission is, to help other organizations become more effective. And we use this see, do, get model is at the core of all the solutions that we are prescribing to, or we are talking about. And we are also not only talking about solutions for individual change, we're talking about solutions which are for scalable change all in an organization. So एक बंदे की change की हम बात नहीं कर रहे, पूरी organization को अगर हमें change करना है, तो what is it that needs to be done all across the organization? So this is a model. C means how you see the thing. So it's about the paradigms that we have. And we always say that when you see things in a certain way, your paradigm is how you're going to act, or how you're going to work, or how you're going to behave. And that's going to the results that you're going to get. So if you want, and this is actually something where we work on the most. We say that if people change their mindset, if they change their paradigms, they're able to bring in a long lasting change in the organization that they work in, because they're able to practice things. So practice things that are going to make that change in their behavior. If you only teach them the content, and we tell them or give them the technical competencies and give them, okay, this is all what you have to learn, and this is the right things. But if we are not able to change their mindset, I tell you, we will get only very, we'll be able to get some change, we'll be able to get some results, we will never able to get some exponential results, the results that we're looking for, the results which say, oh, wow. Those results only come if you are able to make people see or change their mindset. And it's very common. Most of us, we don't stop with our unhealthy habits until a doctor tells us, or maybe we have some sort of a catastrophe that is happening. Only then that happens. Even look at COVID right now. How many of us have changed our habits? Maybe when things were really, really bad, we changed our habits, and then things became a little bit better. We went back to our normal. So it's not that easy. It's not that easy. And that's why paradigms, they actually define what do we practice, and that defines the results that we get in. And that's what this all is based on, is on the mindset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go through the first habit, which is be proactive with you. And since we said that we look at the see, do, get model, and if you look at that model, we look at the common paradigm that most of the people have, a paradigm which is not very effective. And that is a paradigm which says that, this is just the way things are, and there's not much I can do about it. So if we have this kind of thinking in an organization, as a manager, as a leader, what kind of initiatives will I be taking? Not many. Will I be trying to change my thought process? Will I be trying to be more aware of myself? Because I say, no, this is how things are. So if I'm bad, I'm bad. If I have temper, I have temper. It's the problem of the organization. I can't change anything. So I'm just here. So my energy is low, and this is what I'm doing. This is what my common practice is. This is what my behavior is. I react based on moods, feelings, and circumstances. So I'm not thinking ahead. I am not planning. I am just being a very, very reactive person. I am in a blame game always, and I have always have somebody to blame. I always have a person. I always have a fall guy waiting for there. And of course, I am the victim. I'm always the victim. That's what I am looking at. Um, so my energy, my time, my focus is on things which I cannot control, and it's making me more and more frustrated. And I'm in the process. What is happening is that I'm passing along very negative patterns to other people. Also, I'm not giving a very positive energy. So, what is the top common practice you find in your organization? Out of these practices, ये जो भी मैंने आपको दिखाई हैं, मैं अगर ये पोल लॉन्च करती हूँ, प्लीज पोल लॉन्च कर दें. आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में ज्यादातर अगर आप देखें, आप फील करें, यू लुक अराउंड, इनमें से कौन सी प्रैक्टिसेस हैं जो कि ज्यादातर you see, you observe is happening in your organization? So, as we see, reactive behavior is something you find a lot in your organization, that people are actually reacting based on their moods and their feelings. And that is not a very positive paradigm to have or practice to have. Highly effective paradigm is where people are conscious of themselves, and they say or they think and they believe, I'm free to choose and I am ultimately responsible for my own happiness. So nobody is going to come and bring happiness. I am going to create that happiness for myself. Highly effective people, actually, the biggest practice that they do is here written number one, which is pause and respond based on principles and desired results. They always use proactive language because language has a lot to play with how we feel and how we think. They focus on their circle of influence, things that they have a control on, and don't worry about things they cannot do anything about, so they don't waste their time. And while they're doing all of this, they become a sort of a transition person. And a transition person is a person who is socially, emotionally much aware of himself. Like I said, these people pause between a stimulus and a response, and not very, very reactive. And they are, when they're practicing all of this, they become a transition person, a person who actually breaks the unhealthy patterns, which unhealthy, harmful, abusive, ineffective behaviors patterns, and they replace them with something which is more effective, which is more proactive, and a helpful behavior. So they might be getting all of those negative responses that all of us are getting, but what they are doing is they are not emitting those negative responses because they're aware of themselves, and they choose not to do that. And that's where it's important that you have that kind of a mindset to do that. Um, so this actually is the crux of the private victory. And I'm going to just talk a bit on the public victory, because the public victory starts with the thinking of others and having a win-win attitude and a win-win paradigm, which is a paradigm opposite to the one which is written over here. Commonly, people usually think, why they have this attitude of that we are not able to see people with the same wavelength, is because of this common paradigm that there is only so much, and the more you get, the less there is for me. So people have this kind of a thinking कि अगर किसी और को मिल गया तो मुझे नहीं मिलेगा. So इसलिए एक हपड़ दपड़ होती है, एक खींचातानी होती है, and you in that हपड़ you are not actually being aware of your environment or being aware of other people, and you're just only focused on yourself. And that's where these, you will see a lot of these common practices happening. People are competing, they're comparing, they're insensitive to others, they're only upon focusing on their needs, what they want. And how would you be aware of another person if you are in this kind of a paradigm? I'm just going to skip this poll because I think you've understood this part. But a highly effective paradigm is where people are self-aware, but also they're aware of other people, and they, since they've worked on themselves and their competencies, they're not insecure. They have a more open mindset, and their mindset is this: that there is plenty out there for everyone and more to spare. So if you have this kind of a mindset, you're going to look at other people in a very different light. And this is what you will be doing. You will be having a mentality of abundance. You will be balancing courage and consideration. So you will be aware of your needs, but you will be also aware of other people's needs. And you will be looking at wins of everybody. And you will be able to have the stepping stone or the foundational understanding of the public victory. So, with that, I think I come back and I tell you that self awareness and self management is first, then comes your social awareness and relationship management. Together, along that, it is basically this framework would together give you an understanding of how you can be socially and emotionally more intelligent. And we're going to talk more about it when we do our course. We have the course coming up on the 23rd. There are a lot of practices and a lot of things that we will be sharing in that course. And I would invite you to come and join us in that course, which is on the 23rd. We have the link over here. It is a public program, it is an online program. There are a lot of activities and how a lot of linkages of how to use 7 habits to be socially and emotionally more intelligent, aware, and effective. And the bottom line is this: how effective are we personally at workplace and even in our homes, because it's a whole person paradigm. So, with that, I'm actually coming to an end of what I had to say. I would be interested to know if anybody wants to say something, ask something. I am available. I'm trying to open up my video also. Okay, anyone? Any questions if you have, and otherwise we can then log out of the session.
Huma, this is Imran here from Fauji Fertilizer.
Hello, Imran. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just a comment. Thank you very much for such a nice session. Since I am an engineer and I have a engineering background, so what I see from this personal effectiveness framework presenting by 7 habits, Dr. Covey, that it actually improves the interface efficiency of an organization. When you do improve yourself, you are self-aware person, then you become environmentally aware person, then you act in a way that will enhance the interface efficiency of an organization.
Very so well said. Thank you.
Yeah, so that I have actually seen it in our organization that people who have some issues with each other, and there are departments which have conflicting ideas about different things, when they come to a common platform like this one, the 7 habits, they resolve their conflicts more effectively. And as a result of that, they will enhance their interface efficiency. So when the interface efficiency has been improved, the overall organization performance will improve. So that is the main catch which I have seen in my organization.
You have really pointed out a very, very important aspect, because at the end of the day, when this is happening, it's basically the organizational effectiveness and productivity which increases, and that's where the real result of practicing the framework goes in. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Anybody else? Okay, so we can then call it a day, and I would be looking forward to some of you